Hey guys, Sandy here. Welcome back to my channel. Today's sketch is this one right here that has a whole bunch of mixed media going on and a couple tiny little photos. Now I am going to use smaller photos. I have these two 4x6s that I'll probably cut down. But I'm also going to be using a white sheet of cardstock for mixed media, and then I just brought in a few little Christmas things since these are photos from Christmas Eve. So let's see what I can do. All right, so this is one of those layouts where you have a vision in your head and it doesn't turn out anything like the vision that was in your head. However, it does turn out pretty good, so it makes you happy. Now, this is a lesson in your purple tape. Make sure that you place it down on more than one place if you're going to be ink blending like a maniac. Is it ink blending when you're only using one color at a time? I'm not sure. Ink applying, ink application, whatever you want to say. I wish I could actually apply my ink this quick because look at me go. I'm just like adding it on there. Now I know that there is a thought out there about being kind of about putting red on your background just because of the whole blood aspect, but honestly you guys, I don't think that this turns out looking that way at all. Now this is the circles upon circles layout, or I'm sorry, this is the circles upon circles stencil from Scrapping Reflections, and I decided to grab another color of red ink and just add a couple of darker spots into my stenciling. I'm not really blending it together because I'm not having it merge together. I'm just putting on those extra dark bits. Now, I do grab a third color because I'm a maniac and I don't know if there's really any variation in the reds, and I end up covering up a lot of it. So there it is. You guys, I absolutely love the way a stencil looks with ink through it. It is just gorgeous. So pretty. So now I'm going to cut down my photos, and like I said before, I only am using 2 photos this time instead of 3 that are in the sketch, and I'm okay with that. It's fine. Like it's not bothering me whatsoever. I like the balance and everything that came out of it. Now I do grab my Simple Stories 6x8 paper pad. This was just in my Christmas stash, and I'm going to go ahead and cut down photo mats for both of these photos. And I had to look at my photos to figure out what size they were. Then I realized that this photo was not actually cut into a square, so I trimmed that down so it was in a true square. And then I'm going to do one of my photos on this diagonal paper and then another one on this kind of like tealy green paper. It's not truly blue and it's not truly green. It's one of those weird in-between colors that I'm not exactly sure what it is. So I go ahead and get that down and I adhere the mat to it. So now I have very even little mats throughout, and I pop them on like that. So the one photo is of me and my coworker Katie, and we're kind of looking in. So I made it so that we were looking towards the group photo. I thought that if I had us looking away from the group photo, it would be a little bit weird, so I didn't want to do that. Now I do grab some Nuvo expanding mousse, and originally I was not going to make the mousse expand. Originally I knew it was just going to be here for the green color. But, you know, we make it expand. I had to figure out what I was going to use, so I needed another stencil. So I went through my stencil stash and pulled out this mandala stencil. And I figured that this would be good to place on there just to have some, you know, some excitement behind my photos. I am going to use purple tape one more time to place the stencil on top of my cardstock. And as you can see, I do have the stencil going off of the right-hand side of the page. And I did that because I wanted to offset the circle that was in there. Now I was comparing greens to see if I wanted to use the other green, but I did not. I'm going to go ahead and open this bad boy up, and this is the first time that I'm using this, so that's exciting. I go ahead and use my Nuvo spatula knife, and was talking to my husband right there and showing him that Tonic was right up the road from us in Ripon. And now I'm just going to mix up that embellishment mousse a little bit and use the spatula to just push it through the stencil. Now this stencil, you could be super careful and not get any excess on the outside of kind of like the mandala sprays, but I'm not truly concerned with that. I'm just going to go ahead and make sure that I get some of this mousse through every little bit. So Nuvo makes a couple of different mousses. Some of them are just a beautiful color mousse and some of them are expanding. Now this one is an expanding mousse, and you don't have to expand it though. Like, you could just let it dry and it will not expand. You have to actually apply a heat source to it to get it to expand. And it doesn't like puff up so that there's just this super high big texture. Nothing's like popping off of your page. It's just going to give you just a little bit of extra oomph. Like, it just a little, you know what I mean? Just like a little. You guys totally couldn't see my hand motions when I was doing that, but hopefully you get it. So I am just going to go ahead and do this all the way around the stencil. And there are some places that I play around with the mousse a little bit more than I really need to. And I do get some kind of like mousse underneath of the stencil and a little bit of excess on the background of the paper. But it's a mixed media layout. I'm going to add splatters. I'm going to do all the things. It's not really going to be super noticeable. If it is noticeable, what you need to do when you are applying this kind of product onto your page through a stencil, you want to work in one direction. You don't want to like squish it all the way around, because what that's going to do is you're going to work the material right underneath of your stencil, which is what I basically do. So, you know, do as I say and not as I do if you don't want any kind of over spray. It's not really spray because there's no spray, but you guys know what I mean. So I'm going to peel that off, and now I've got this wild looking green, red, and white thing. And it definitely is screaming Christmas to me. So now I'm just going to grab my sprays and I'm going to drizzle them all over the page so that it looks like some sort of mixed media beautification thing. I do use a mica mist, and that was that green one. I'm going to use a darker green as well. I'm going to just pop that down. I also grab a red color, and which is right here. This is a chalkboard spray, so it's going to be a little bit matte. It's not going to have a shine to it. And then, of course, I am going to grab my gold Heidi Swap Color Shine, which is pretty much, I won't say pretty much, it's almost gone. I never stocked up like some people did when we found out that that was going to be discontinued. But I did stop using it for a little while, and that's just because I knew that once it was gone, it was gone. And I don't know why that was such a blockage in my head, because I also have Liquitex acrylic inks. I think that's what they're called, and that's a beautiful gold. That will do great splatters as well. So who in the world knows why I haven't been splattering the gold all over everything? I need to start splattering some more stuff. So now I'm going to use my heat gun, and I'm going to apply it to the Nuvo embellishment mousse. And it isn't as magical as embossing powder, you guys. It's just not. Embossing powder is magical. You go from this powdery looking substance to this smooth and shiny, just glistening little thing, and this is just not that exciting. It does change the color ever so slightly, and it gives it just that little bit of extra oomph, so it's not flat on your page. Now, if you just left this embellishment mousse without the heat gun, it's still not going to be exactly flat on your page, but this does give it that little bit of extra pizzazz. So I am going to go over every single arm flowery excess bit of the mandala. I I don't even know. What are mandala arms called? I ask these questions and somebody always lets me know in the comments. I got a notification a little while ago, I guess, where I couldn't know what the name of the Q, what the little, hang down of a Q was. Somebody was like, it's a tail. And I'm like, oh. I thought that there was a fancy name for it, but I guess not. But if anybody knows if there's a fancy name for the mandala arms, let me know. I would love to know these things. So I go ahead and finish up heat gunning it, and of course I have to touch it just to make sure it truly is dry. Now I did get this embellishment mousse all over my hands, and I went to work with kind of green shimmering fingers, so that was fun. Now I am going to overlap these photos, and remember the one photo I popped up on foam squares, and then the other photo is going to be flat. So I go ahead and cover up that center of the mandala area, and I'm like, yes, this is screaming Christmas to me, even if everyone wasn't in kind of Christmassy colors. But, sometimes you can't even tell because Target's red anyway, so maybe we're just ready for Christmas every day. I don't know. So I have these gold thickers, and it says deck the halls, but we're sitting on our receiving dock. So I'm going to switch out the E for an O, and I'm going to title this Dock the Halls. Now I thought that was extremely clever. I was pretty pleased with myself. Every once in a while I come up with a title where I'm just like, oh yeah, you are the best. You are the most creative. And this time that was one of them. Now I have this tiny doily, and I go ahead and cut it apart. I needed a place to be able to place the title because I'm not having like a large one-word title over the photos or under the photos. So I needed to have something to place the title on top of it because otherwise it would get lost in the mixed media. So I use that doily, and I'm just going to place down this thing that says Dock the Halls, and I will use some Nuvo Deluxe adhesive a little bit later on to apply those letter stickers because you and I both know that American Crafts thickers do not stick. I like American thickers. I think I'm going to start calling them American thickers from now on. Anyway, I go ahead and place those little gold holly bits that were attached to the Dock the Halls, and I just go ahead and place them down here on the two corners of the photos. And again, I am using my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive because one, the American thickers don't stick, and two, I'm placing it over top of heated up embellishment mousse. So there's a little bit of a texture and a grit, and the lack of stickage on the stickers is not really helping it out. So now I'm going to go in and pull out a couple little Christmas embellishments that I have, and I'm trying to figure out where I want these wood bits to go. So this little wooden wreath, I go ahead with my scissors and just cut that bad boy in half, and then I'm going to add some more adhesive and layer it up here on the top and the bottom of the page. And this is just me introducing wood veneer onto the layout so that I can add it in a couple more places. Because if you add it once, you might as well add it more than once, right? Because more is more. So I'm taking these trees, I'm just trying to figure out where I want them to go, which size trees I want to have, and like where I should nestle them, which sizes look the best together. Like all these things are going through my mind. Originally, I thought I was going to put 3 trees on the layout, 2 on the right-hand side and 1 on the left. But ultimately, I decide that that is a little bit too much, and it kind of makes it off balance for me. Even though you would think that having the multiple trees like that would balance it out, it just kind of feels like it's going to tip over on that left-hand side. So that tree does go away. It does not stay. But I do like what I've done here with the larger wood veneer and the smaller wood veneer tree, where I layered them on top of each other and kind of put them on the photo, kind of like a photo corner. So now I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, I need to add more. Like there just needs to be more. Even though there's a lot going on, I just feel like there has to be more. So I grab these kind of sparkly, glittery gems. I'm going to sprinkle them around the mandala stenciled area. And that's just going to give me a little bit more interest with what I have going on in the background. And then I also grab some of these white enamel dots, and I'm going to sprinkle those around. I just felt like I needed to bring a little bit more of the white to the forefront. Since I have this big old white background and a little bit of doily going on, I just felt like I needed to kind of connect them a little bit better. So there it is, you guys. Here's a couple of close-ups, and then that'll be it for this layout. Please be sure to join the Scrapping Reflections Facebook group. I love how everyone is sharing their layouts, and it's super inspiring, and I love seeing what everyone's doing. And I will see you guys again real soon for another video.